It is Wednesday, July 31st, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. It was a very fun get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. I almost said Friday there. I had a little bit of getting my ass kicked, had a little bit of kicking somebody else's ass, so it was fairly balanced. It wasn't too much on one side or the other. Although I got to say, when I was getting my ass kicked, it did not feel good. Hope to rectify that in the future. Oh well, again, in the future. And so, as far as what we were covering today, we were doing a kind of a special, how should I say it? Like a special way to keep people from passing from side control up to the full guard. And I liked it a lot. My knee is still kind of bugging me from Monday, so I tried to take it a little easier, but of course I'm really grippy, so it's like I still had a little bit of trouble letting go. And so yeah, it's funny. I've been relaxing more during my rolls and trying to flow more with my opponent, and sticking with them really closely. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that as much, only because I lost a little bit of my leg control with my leg having an issue at the moment. So yeah. Oh, and fuck you, Laird Hamilton. I'm icing it. I don't care what you say. I think ice works. It's something that I've used for a long time now, and so yeah, I'm going to keep using it. Anyway, the sparring sessions that we did today, like I said, I got a little bit of my ass kicked, but I did manage to get a good Americana. Almost got a Kimura, but I kind of let it go a little bit. It was one of those things where I was catching myself being too hard on my opponent. And but I'll be really honest. The kid, even though he was younger than me, he was shorter than me, and he's lighter than me, still really aggressive. And I think that against people his own age and his own weight class, he would destroy them. Especially the way he's rolling. Really, really tight game. Although I was a little bit ahead of him mentally, and you would kind of expect that because I'm so much older than him. A little bit more experience. But he was really good at keeping his knees in between me and him. And I found that a little bit difficult to deal with, but nonetheless, I managed. But yeah, the Americana I caught him in, it was kind of funny because I think he could sense that he was in a bad situation, but he kind of forced my weight off to his left side, and when he did that, he put me in a position to isolate his arm. And so I didn't act right away, and this is one of the issues that I've always had, that when I'm narrowing down to an Americana, I've got good side control, I've got my knee against your hip, I got my other knee up under your armpit. You're not going anywhere, but you can still avoid getting an Americana or a Kimura. Although he stuffed his arm under his body after I got him the first time, thinking that was going to be a good solution. And if I had the time, I would have navigated to try and get on his back while keeping that arm behind his back, because that's a pretty painful submission. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. I have no idea what we're going to get into as far as material goes. Got a bunch of tabs open in the browser, so I'm sure we'll find something good to chew on. And so as far as our first dance is concerned, we do it. Body count. And I've been feeling the need for a little more institutionalization. And so here it is. First Dance, Institutionalized, 2014. Body Count. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Sixth with Bland Street Bloom. I always got to wonder what they're talking about in there. I think it's just that they're having to buy cheap weed or something like that. You know, the dirt weed. I don't know. It's been so long since I've actually had quote unquote dirt weed that, you know, I don't think it exists anymore. I think it's one of those things where the market has kind of pushed it all out. You know. Anywho, speaking of the market, I got this article here on theblockcrypto.com, and I don't know if this is just like an aggregator site or not. It may be. Anyway, this is by Isabel Woodford, so no penis. This was authored July 31st, 2019 at, 5 p.m. EDT. And so here it goes. Physically delivered Bitcoin future contracts are imminent, but the bottleneck now lies with clients. It's been a bumpy road so far for Bakkt, ICE's yet-to-launch crypto future exchange, facing grueling regulatory climate, government standstills, and even some technological hurdles. Oh, you sons of bitches. They've got it blocked. Oh, you bastards. They're not going to let me read it. You know what? I bet this isn't the only source for this article. And so we're just going to see what we can do here. No, not we're not going to go to the block crypto here. Oh, here we go. Maybe it'll actually deliver. Maybe. Come on. Let's see here. It's probably going to direct me to that fucking... Yeah. Sons of bitches. Oh. They want me to join their shit at $85 a month? Go suck a dick. Yeah, your shit isn't that good. I don't care. None of it is. Well, fine then. Sorry about that. The Block Crypto decided that they want to charge some outrageous sum of money for their shit, so they can go fuck themselves. Anyway, I got another article, because I'm smart like that. I got a few backups. And so here it is. This is on ambcrypto.com, and this might be from an aggregator site, but we'll go with it and see if it pans out. Crypto community questions Brave's wallet update that enforces KYC requirements. And this is by Mark Prestwood, authored 7 hours ago on July 31st, 2019. Going from the picture and the name, yes, penis. Brave browser recently announced a new update to its Brave Reward wallet, effective from 7/24/2019, highlighting that the users who have been using, quote, Brave's nightly build will be able to withdraw BAT from the Brave Rewards wallet after verifying and creating an account with our partner Uphold. The new update allows users to withdraw their BAT from the browser's built-in wallet, which requires users to go through a KYC process. Post-verification, the users are also allowed to add/withdraw funds from a third-party source or the wallet. While the KYC process seems paramount for leveraging the new features, the official post has clarified no such requirement for tipping other users and contributors. Pointing out the obvious change, it read, quote, if you wish to earn BAT by enabling Brave ads and send those BAT to publishers via auto-contribute and tipping, that will remain as is. What is changing is that you need to verify with Uphold if you wish to add funds to your wallet from an external source, such as a credit card, bank account, or another crypto wallet. While emphasizing on no resemblance to banks, Brave mentioned that Uphold, being a custodian of the wallet, quote, can make connections to banks. As a result of the predicaments, the recent update harvested mixed feedback from the community, where a majority of them questioned Brave's decision to opt for KYC, although they historically glorified the need for user privacy. The aftermath. Although Brave's major selling point has been its privacy features, however, the recent update to the Brave Reward wallet has got many riffled, where some have gone so far as to demand a fork. Just like Facebook's Libra, Brave's move into the crypto mainstream has not been that well received. The firm is currently trying to reassure the community members of their commitment to their privacy-oriented business model or business policy, and said that any data in the form of KYC submitted to Uphold won't be saved by the Brave browser. I don't care. Let me see if anybody else has commented on this thing. Nope, nobody's commented. I think that's going to stifle a lot of users. From what I understand, local Bitcoins with their KYC AML requirements kind of kick themselves out of the running for exchange services for some people, and I guess they also eliminated the ability to meet up with other users via them. I don't know how that works. How they can do that. But anyway, this is all stuff that is, as far as I see, it's just bullshit. I mean, why would you deal with this bullshit if you don't have to? If you don't have to use Brave's wallet for anything, why would you? And also, though, if you can tip people, you could probably tip yourself to maybe some sort of multi-coin wallet or some sort of decentralized exchange that will allow you to transfer it or trade it for some sort of maybe small cap alt, like Dogecoin or something like that. And then you can import it into your exchange account and liquidate it at will, or buy Bitcoin with it. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that business. Brave, I don't know. It never seemed to really catch on in the fact that they're reverting to a KYC model. I just think they're kicking themselves in the nuts. In the longer term, I think that all of these calls to regulate cryptocurrencies and hold on to this KYC bullshit, I think it's going to end. And specifically, it's going to end when somebody really rich and famous gets completely fucking wrecked, and it gets reported by the news that this person or persons, like maybe all the Capital One people that had their data compromised recently, they get completely wrecked, and then all of a sudden there'll be a call to change that. But the problem is that we're being forced to provide so much information. Verification of ID and all of that stuff is a data hole. I mean, not data hole. It's a hole in your security, basically. And this kind of practice, or the KYC AML demands, they get us all accustomed to providing all kinds of really, really sensitive information that if an identity thief or somebody like that were to get a hold of it, they could do untold amounts of damage to your lifestyle. And like I said, I guess, some really rich people have to get hacked or wrecked or something like that as a result of one of these hacks for people to start paying attention to this shit. I mean, it is absolutely unnecessary to be tracked for half of the shit that people are tracking us for. You know, whether it's Facebook tracking us, or the NSA tracking us, or the CIA tracking us, somebody fucking tracking us. All of that, the collection of all of that data represents a significant threat to each and every one of us. Sorry about that. Had to rehydrate. But anyway, in the longer term, I think it's going to be discovered that the costs associated with trying to recover from hacks is going to be so high that the very practice of collecting the data will be stopped. You know, it's going to be like some U.S. lawmaker, you know, like Donald Trump or some shit like that. He's going to get his shit hacked, and then he's going to go, you know what, maybe it's not such a good idea to be monitoring everybody so much that this information is falling into the wrong hands. You know, and we're asking for backdoors to encryption and fuck you. You know, the fact that we can encrypt stuff probably protects us more than anything, whether or not it's actually encrypted. It lowers the probability of, you know, on the cost benefit ratio that there is such a thing as encryption that exists, to even bother with trying to hack somebody, because that does take time and energy, no matter how sophisticated and good you are. Anyway, got this article here on cryptonews.com. U.S. lawmakers begin to realize that they cannot ban Bitcoin. This is by David Cox. It was authored approximately 9 hours ago. So yes, penis. Ever since its inception, Bitcoin has divided the people into its supporters and opponents. In fact, there are many out there who want it to be completely banned, especially the regulators and the critics of the cryptocurrency. But is it practically possible to impose a ban on Bitcoin? Not likely. After all, the number one cryptocurrency was developed by tech experts as digital money, which would hold its ground against the regulators and centralized policies globally. Of late, it seems U.S. lawmakers have begun to understand the same thing, that there are a lot of difficulties attached to a possible ban on Bitcoin. Bitcoin ban unlikely. On Tuesday, the 30th of July, there was a hearing on blockchain technology and cryptocurrency regulations held by the United States Senate Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Through this hearing, Republican Mike Crapo, the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, voiced his beliefs, saying that the U.S. wouldn't be capable of banning Bitcoin successfully. Crapo said if the U.S. decided that they didn't want crypto and tried banning it, he's quite confident that they could not be successful in doing so, given the global nature of the invention. Actually, it's even worse than that, but anyway, continuing. Jeremy Allaire, the CEO and co-founder of Circle, which is into financial services globally, expressed that the challenge they face with regards to this is the fact that some of the digital currencies are literally open source software and nothing else. It's easy for anyone with the internet to implement it as far as it exists and runs on the internet. Moreover, these are generated algorithmically. So for the governments around the world, the challenge is that this digital money can frictionlessly move anywhere around the globe at the speed of the internet. Prior to this, another congressman of the U.S., Patrick McHenry, had shared similar thoughts in the previous month. He remarked during his CNBC interview that there is no potentiality to kill Bitcoin. Bill Behart, or Barhidit, Weird. Abra's CEO had also opined that banning Bitcoin could be tough legally for the U.S. government. Dude, legally is not the issue, it's technically. In the month of May, Congressman Brad Sherman had also asserted that Congress should ban Bitcoin without sharing an effective roadmap to implement the same. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Kyle Torpy says, I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency purchases by Americans, in part because an awful lot of our international power comes from the fact the dollar is the standard unit of international finance and transactions. Yeah, okay. However, a recognized economist's theory suggests a way to kill the difficulties attached to the implementation of Bitcoin ban. As per the economist Safedine Amos, the best way for the governments to kill crypto is by way of becoming more competitive with regards to financial freedom and monetary policies. That is a good way to do it. It is also worth noticing that there is increasing support when it comes to banning encryption-backed technologies among diverse U.S. law enforcement organizations, including the Trump White House. Projects such as Facebook's Libra, on the contrary, are coming across as easy-to-control projects for governments across the world. No, not really. Looking at it as a whole, it strongly seems that extreme restrictions or actions like imposing a ban might eventually end up making more people aware of cryptocurrency and the advantages it has to offer. Yeah, that is a more likely outcome, honestly. But yeah, the potential to ban Bitcoin, again, the biggest issues aren't legal. They're in fact technical. You know, you might be able to go to a big hash farm and knock it over. You know, you go in, raid it, kill their electricity, all that shit. Steal their hardware. You can do all of that. But that's not going to kill Bitcoin. And as a matter of fact, it'll get even worse. Because then people will just start mining it on virtual instances. And shit. They'll be on the goddamn NSA's, you know, their cloud servers, mining Bitcoin. And I mean, that might sound a little far-fetched, but it seems like the SEC is already interested in doing something similar, but I think they're going to find out that running a full node is pretty much useless unless A, you're a retailer and you want to have the node in order to verify the status of your transactions, or you're a miner. And so here it is. This is on cryptoslate.com, and this is by Priyeshu Garg. And going by the picture, I'm just going to say yes. Penis. Let me get this a little bigger here. Where is it? There it is. There we go. The SEC wants to run Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP nodes. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is looking for contractors that would run Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP nodes on its behalf. The regulator said the nodes will support its effort to monitor risks and improve compliance, despite dozens of free blockchain explorers and analytic tools being available online. U.S. market regulator wants to run its own nodes on Bitcoin and Ethereum. The Security and Exchange Commission has become notorious in the crypto community as the agency's attempts to police the market has frequently trumped further development in the industry. The community's distrust of the SEC increased in the past couple of days when the news about the agency's newest attempt to track blockchain transactions broke. According to trust nodes, the SEC is planning to run its own Bitcoin and Ethereum nodes, in addition to, quote, as many as possible of the following blockchains: Bitcoin Cash, Stellar, Zcash, EOS, Neo, and XRP Ledger. The Commission said that running their own nodes will support its efforts to monitor risk, improve compliance, and create better informed policies. The official Federal Business Opportunities website also stated that the subscription shall source all blockchain data from hosted nodes rather than providing this data as a secondary source. Data like hashing algorithms, hashing power, mining difficulty and rewards, transaction quality and size, coin supply, and blockchain size will also be tracked, it said on the SEC's request. The SEC's request for quotes from contractors was published on July 2nd, but went largely unnoticed until now. What does the SEC want with the data? News about the SEC's planned dive into blockchain analytics got mixed reactions from the crypto community. Some Twitter users saw this as a clear bullish sign, believing it will lead to both the SEC and the U.S. government, accepting the industry. Matty Greenspan, the senior market analyst at eToro, seemed to see this as a positive development for the industry, saying that he never thought he'd see the day when the government got this involved in blockchain. However, others were still more skeptical of this, saying that government surveillance defeats the purpose of cryptocurrencies. Inviting the prying eyes of the government into blockchain has the potential to jeopardize the privacy crypto transactions have. That's bullshit. The SEC didn't reveal what it plans to do with the data it acquires from its contractors. There are currently dozens of advanced blockchain explorers available, so many were left wondering why the SEC would devote so much of its resources to outsourcing. However, the agency might be looking to get advanced analytics from its contractors rather than just cold hard data. We are yet to see whether this leads to something positive, such as compliance automation, or puts blockchain privacy in greater danger. I don't think it's going to do either. I think if anything, it will increase. It will increase, I would say, the government's trust of cryptocurrencies, that they're able to examine the blockchain itself and they're like, dude, this is the most transparent tool there's ever been, so like, what do we care? We could save so much money in all of the data tracking and storing that we're already doing if all we're doing is referring back to this public blockchain. I mean, and really, the kind of information that we get from those blockchains is so transparent. The fact that Tether, the fact that they fat fingered $5 billion into existence the other day was actually noted by a third party, somebody who was watching the blockchain. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, we didn't need the SEC to do it. We didn't need the CFTC to do it. We didn't need the FDIC to do it. Some kid whose interests include monitoring the fucking transactions that are happening on the Bitcoin blockchain was able to figure it out. You know, it kind of reminds me a bit of this Capital One hack. I can see certain possibilities as far as the person that's been accused of it being the actual person. I see that as a narrow possibility, only because, as I said on my last show, the possibility that somebody who was sophisticated enough to hack Capital One to put their personal information on an account associated with that data is pretty fucking low. I mean, like, really fucking low. I can think of a few reasons why somebody would do that, but they have nothing to do with the money, and they have nothing to do with accessing personal information of other people, with the exception of maybe one. You know, they had like a target in mind that they wanted to gather personal information about. Of course, in the process, they exposed the information of 100 million people. That's beside the point. But anyway, the point I was getting at there is that if it actually was the person who is accused, this person was not a hacker. Okay, so imagine if there were an intent attacker, a real hacker, who wanted to gather information or steal money from Capital One. If this person who was from what I could gather, a former employee who had inside information on the intended target, you know, then that's one thing. You know, again, if we're talking about somebody who's an intent attacker, though, an intent attacker could do all of it, get the money, and blame the person who's listed. Okay, but you know, if the person who's listed did it, if she was able to compromise their systems on her own, that means that their security is so fucking lax, they really don't give a shit about keeping your shit safe. You know, but the idea that things are going to be, you know, worse for us because the government's suddenly going to be able to track things on the fuck. If the government wants to know something happening on the blockchain, they can fucking look it up themselves. They probably have their own fucking dedicated blockchain explorer for that purpose. There's also the question of what they would do with the nodes. Because there is the matter of network propagation of the transactions. And this is one of the reasons why they're not going to get too serious about what they do with the information. Is because if it ever becomes known, or if it ever becomes felt by the market that their gathering of that information is helping them to, you know, track down monies that you intended to hide and whatever, then people will stop using the cryptocurrencies that they're tracking and start using ones that they aren't. You know, privacy tokens, or privacy currencies, rather. Privacy-related cryptocurrencies, or minded cryptocurrencies. And yes, I'm kind of talking about Verge. There are others, but that's what it's meant for. Is, yeah, so what? You're watching the blockchain. Yeah, so what? You've got a whole bunch of nodes on the network. You still can't tell who I am. You still can't tell where I am. You still don't know what I bought. You still don't know who I bought it from. You just know that the transaction happened. And originally, Bitcoin transactions were at least that pseudonymous. That if you didn't associate any other of your personal information with an address, nobody was the wiser who you were. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And where to go with it? I think maybe a little bit of Megadeth is due. Kick the Chair here on Coin Metal. And that was Static X with Machine. And so next, I've been kind of stashing more and more tabs here. But, you know, I came into this with a set of tabs that I'd intended to get around to. And so we're just going to stick with those for the moment. But I do have some fresh ones up. Anyway, so the next one I got here is on Coindust.com. And this one seems kind of interesting to me, only because Tether is not a cryptocurrency in a technical sense. But continuing on, millions in crypto is crossing the Russia-China border daily. There, Tether is king. This is by Anna Bedakova. So no penis. And this is authored July 30th, 2019 at 4 UTC. Vrr. The cash counting machines were softly buzzing in an office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Moscow's landmarks. Hear that sound? Asked the head of the over-the-counter cryptocurrency trading desk. Let's call him Oleg, who requested his real name and company be withheld. You can hear it 24/7 in here. Business is brisk thanks to a constant flow of Chinese merchants who come in daily with heavy bags of cash, Oleg said. His OTC desk sells about $3 million worth of crypto every day. Most of it usually goes to China. But what's perhaps most surprising is which crypto. Only 20% of Oleg's sales are in Bitcoin, the oldest cryptocurrency with the largest market capitalization. The other 80% is in the dollar-pegged token known as Tether or USDT. Tether's best-known application is allowing crypto traders to move money between exchanges quickly to take advantage of arbitrage opportunities. But according to several Moscow OTC traders, it has at least one real-world use case, as the go-to remittance service for local Chinese importers. The total volume of USDT purchased by Chinese businesses can reach $10 million to $30 million daily, these traders said. Quote, they accumulate a lot of cash in Moscow and need Tether to transfer it to China, said Maya Shakhnazarova, head of OTC trading at Huobi, Russia, the Moscow office serving high roller clients of Singapore-based exchange Huobi Global. It's a simple process. Quote, a client comes in with cash, we register the price at exchanges. When we agree on a price, we make a deal, Shishkarova told CoinDesk. The client hands over cash and a wallet address. The seller sends USDT to the wallet. Why Tether? It has the usual advantages of crypto, no limits on how much money can be sent or where, without the volatility that makes most coins infeasible for trading millions across the border daily. Despite long-standing questions about USDT's purported dollar backing, exacerbated by the New York State Attorney General and NYAG court case against the issuing company Tether, the stablecoin usually trades around $1. The Tether for rubles purchases often take place in offices like Huobi's in the steel and glass skyscraper district of Moscow City. Quote, there are a lot of OTCs here in Moscow City, a bunch of offices in every building, and the volumes for them can reach several dozens of millions of dollars a day. It's all paid for in cash, Sharkosnova says. Tether's killer app. Chinese gray market importers used to rely on Bitcoin before the 2018 bear market. Another OTC dealer, Roman Dobrinin, told CoinDesk. As the price was ever growing, merchants and the intermediaries helping them to buy crypto could make some extra money along the way. But since the beginning of 2018, hoping that your Bitcoin will still be worth the same or more at the end of the transfer became too risky. Quote, as the price was going down, Tether became much more convenient to use, said Dobrinin. China is totally reliant on USDT. They trust in it a lot. Plus, it's very liquid. His own clients are mostly Chinese, and they usually find him by word of mouth, connecting via Telegram. To buy or sell USDT for dollars from Tether itself, a trader must be verified through the company's Know Your Customer process. However, since the token runs on top of public blockchain networks, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Tron, anyone can receive or send it, and secondary trades are unrestricted. Tether did not respond to requests for comment by press time. Back in China, the merchants can exchange USDT for fiat easily, even through the People's Bank of China banned fiat to crypto spot trading in 2017, forcing the exchanges to move out of the country and limiting trading to crypto pairs. Chinese traders who need to liquidate crypto assets into Chinese yuan can still go to an OTC market maker, such as those registered on exchanges like Huobi and OKX, to get matched with buyers and send them crypto after receiving a wire transfer via a bank, Alipay, or WeChat Pay. The critics of Tether have long questioned whether the stablecoin was fully backed one-to-one with dollars, as the company long insisted. The NYAG case revealed that Tether had loaned a big chunk of its capital reserves to Bitfinex, an exchange with overlapping management and owners, leaving the coin only 74% collateralized by cash and equivalents. None of this seems to faze the Moscow traders or their Chinese clients. Quote, "Nobody really cares if Tether is backed or not," says Konstantin Plavnik, chief operating officer of Moscow-based crypto derivatives exchange Xena. Confidence in Tether's solvency relies on a long-time habit and convenience. This market needs Tether, so Tether is trusted. OTC traders also point out that USDT's daily volume exceeds its supply in circulation several times over, which indicates that people turn the token around multiple times during the day. For example, according to CoinMarketCap, on July 29th, the 24-hour volume of USDT was recorded at $17.5 billion, while the total supply was just around $4 billion. The turnaround of Tether is fast, so for the merchants using the token for remittances, whether it's worth something or not matters only within one day. Large batches of USDT get transferred to China overnight and then get exchanged for yuan. Crypto entrepreneurs in Moscow told CoinDesk, quote, "USDT will stay propped by the power of habit and trust of its users," said Vladislav Bulochnikov, the head of product at crypto wallet app provider ChatX. "Even if it loses half of its backing, it'll still be out there." Skirting capital controls. Stepping back, the Chinese government maintains strict capital controls, limiting the amount of foreign currency anyone can buy or sell to $50,000 per year, $50,000 worth. People can apply for additional quota, but still the amount of currency they can buy and sell will be limited. In this situation, some Chinese have opted to use crypto to move money across the border. The fact that Chinese merchants bringing cheap goods to Moscow shopping malls use crypto to move money around was all but officially recognized by the Russian authorities last year. Several large malls in the city account for around $9.5 billion of unregulated cash flow monthly, and most of the merchants are from China, said Yuri Polupanov, the Bank of Russia's head of financial monitoring and currency control, during an event hosted by Thomson Reuters in Moscow in April of 2018. These malls, located inside huge warehouses on the outskirts of Moscow, host multiple retail stands selling mostly clothing, usually for cheap and for cash. They are shopping meccas for people who can't afford to spend much on their wardrobes and avoid even mass-market chain stores. Quote, "We see most of the revenue turned into cryptocurrency, which is not reported in any way at the moment," Polupanov said at the Thomson Reuters event, according to the RBK news agency. Quote, "We see simultaneous transfers of that cryptocurrency via email to the homeland of those merchants and producers and the following exchange of it for local currency there." According to a March 2019 report in the Russian newspaper Novaya Gazeta, cash would be received at places like a hotel called Druzhba, friendship in Russian, located next to the shopping mall named Moscow. Then this cash would be swapped for crypto and sent to Hong Kong. The wholesale trade offices at Druzhba could be turning around $10 million to $12 million a day, $12 million worth a day, Gazetta's sources estimated. The operations were ceased for a short time after police raided the hotel, along with the malls mentioned by the Bank of Russia in March of this year. Small crypto desks are still functioning at those malls, OTC trader Dobrinin believes, though they likely don't provide the volumes merchants need. Outside traders are often afraid to go to those areas to make deals as things can get dangerous there, he said, explaining, quote, the personnel working there can sell somebody information about how much money you have, and some armed people can meet you on your way back. People go there only with armed bodyguards. Yeah, but they do go there and they do trade. Yeah, this is more indication that the harder you squeeze, the darker it fucking gets. And I mean, I really couldn't put it any other way. Harder you squeeze, the darker it gets. And I think that's one of the things with that statement that the SEC is looking to get into having nodes, is that it could go one of two ways. They could try and squeeze, in which case all they will do is make it go dark, or they could be participating in the health of these currencies by adding to the networks. And that, in my mind, is the bigger point of competition with cryptocurrencies. And this is why getting up and trying to regulate shit now is just stupid. It is absolutely stupid. The fact of the matter is that you're trying to make decisions for the market that the market is better off making for itself. Now, of course, I do see a place for governments in crypto. I really do. But my perspective is inverse of a lot of others. See, I think that they need to be operating on the assumption that they're trying to incentivize us into participating in these currencies to strengthen our economic capabilities in the greater global sphere. If we're producing the majority of the Bitcoin here, what is that going to do to the rest of the market? It's going to put us in a better position to be dictating exactly what things are worth. Okay, if we have the money, it's the golden rule. He who has the gold rules. Well, the same is true with crypto. He who has the crypto rules. And while that will be on an individual basis, I think that nations that try and facilitate more mining going on, so maybe giving deference to miners or people that decide to get into mining, one of the things that they could definitely do is stay the fuck away from trying to regulate miners. We will figure shit out. We will figure the best way to do things. But, like I said, the best place I could see governments wanting to participate in crypto is, again, just get the fuck out of our way. Start talking to the Chinese and other governments that are producing hardware, and try and negotiate better prices for your people. Okay, that's a good place for you to be. Because again, it's opening us up to another realm of international competition. And even though the coins themselves are ours, the verification of where the coins were mined will be saying a lot about how friendly we are towards cryptocurrencies and how much we want that monetary activity, that commerce, to be happening within our borders as opposed to elsewhere. So anyway, I wanted to get back to Tether because it seems to me that they've got to be like over leveraged, they've got to be issuing way more Tether than they actually have money to back, I feel. But we're going to get into that. Hold on one moment. All right, this is on medium.com. Did Tether just create $2.27 billion worth of Monero like dark pool using liquid? I don't know. This is authored July 29th. It's a 5-minute read. Fiat Dub. Let's check something really quick here. I'm trying to verify the identity of the person who wrote this. Nope. Pseudonymous crypto analyst. Damn it, Jim. Trying to find whether or not this is a he or a she. I'm just going to say yes, penis. Statistically speaking, it's a really good chance. There are women involved in crypto, but men vastly outnumber them. Continuing on. Did Tether just create $2.27 billion worth of Monero like dark pool using liquid? I love the crypto space for days like today, July 29th, 2019. I'm just going to go through the day as a simple point-by-point timeline to save all of us a headache. There is no TLDR. You need to read it all, folks. Context matters. Number 1. At around 7:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I woke up to find that Kraken futures were about to go down for maintenance. This is always a red flag in my book. When a platform goes down for maintenance, it means pay attention. I also found it odd that their Twitter made no warning or mention of this downtime before or after the futures came back online. Number 2. Kraken futures were down for 25 minutes and came back online at 7:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Number 3. Within the same minute of Kraken futures coming back online, this happens. Whale alert. Let's see, 49,756 Bitcoin, approximately $468,491,827 US dollars worth, transferred from unknown wallet to unknown wallet. 4. I don't believe in coincidences. 5. This is the first of 5 large 47,000 Bitcoin movements of BTC on the blockchain throughout the day, July 29th, 2019. 6. These movements were not churning of the same funds, but all different, separate funds. Holy shit. You're talking about 5... What? Let's see, that's a lot of fucking Bitcoin. 7. These 47,000 BTC blocks were further broken down into increments of 6,000 throughout the day. After one 47,000 block was successfully broken up into pieces of 6,000 BTC, then the next 47 BTC allotment would move. 8. Thus, all of these funds belong to the same entity. See below for the other four large allotments. 9. In total, 1.34% of all Bitcoin in circulation was moved today, or 239,436 BTC, which is worth $2.27 billion. 10. Keep in mind that there are $4.03 billion worth of Tether in circulation on public blockchains that can easily be tracked by bots like Whale Alert. Often new Tether treasury issuances are picked up by this bot, and signal traders go long on Bitcoin. 11. Also keep in mind that this means about 56% worth of Tether's entire market cap was moved on the Bitcoin blockchain within those above 5 transactions. Number 12. Why are points 10 and 11 important? Because of this news. Tether. On a quest towards improved interoperability, it is with great pleasure that we announce support for Tether on the Liquid network. Number 13. Coincidentally, this above news was released at 1:42 p.m., 11 minutes after this third large 47,000 BTC allotment moved. 14. Oh, and 1 minute after that, Zach Vole had this to say about Tether, the Tether court hearing. Zach Vole. We're back and hashing out some more jurisdiction case law. I don't think we're getting a ruling today the judge wants to consider more carefully. Preliminary injunction extended. No date set. Thanks for reading. 15. I don't believe in coincidences. 16. If you don't know what Liquid is, read up on it. It's a really smart blockstream project. It's basically a pegged sidechain to Bitcoin and has a ring CT enabling confidential transactions much like Monero. A blockchain auditor can't decipher what is going on a ring CT blockchain most of the time. All amounts and other identifying data are typically obscured. This makes tracking movements on such blockchains by trading bots like Whale Alert or regulators like the NYAG impossible. Number 17. This obscured Liquid CT chain can enable exchanges to move funds without alerting the public or regulators to what is happening. They can also move these funds in the form of a liquid stablecoin. It could even obscure new Tether Treasuries issuances from being made public. But not only that, as an issuer, you could probably optionally reveal such issuances to the public on the blockchain. Number 18. Thus, a Liquid member can pick and choose which transactions they want to make public and which they want to remain confidential. If I got any of this wrong, please correct me. Number 19. Keep in mind all of these tiny, insignificant events happen within not just the same day, but within the same 6 hours. Number 20. From all of this, we can construct the following theory. Tether has decided to expand their project by setting aside a large portion of their Bitcoin, 56% of the current Tether market cap, or 2.3 billion or 250,000 Bitcoin, for future Liquid deposits. This does 3 things at the same time. A. It sends a middle finger to the New York Attorney General's office. It basically sends the message that Tether will do what it wants, when it wants, and there is nothing that the NYAG can do to stop them. Nice power move. B. It helps to optimally obscure all future issuances of Tether on the Liquid chain, which could make public revelations about treasury creation on the Liquid chain that much more powerful for bulls to long. C. It also allows for whale and exchange dark pools to be formed for private stablecoin movements on-chain without anyone seeing the movement but the senders. D. And lastly, but most importantly, today's move of 250,000 Bitcoin may have been Tether preparing to deposit into the Liquid network. Liquid is a pegged sidechain where you lock up one Bitcoin for one Liquid. 21. If this last point is true, then be prepared. This could mean that Tether has 250,000 Bitcoin ready to deploy into a stablecoin-like asset at any time without anyone knowing. It's not exactly as if Tether just printed $2.3 billion, but it could be that they are signaling that they have that much on standby that could be issued at any time in the form of a dark stablecoin pool that no one will be able to track. Clients like Warren Buffett can now play without raising any red flags. I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. Ooh, there's some responses. Lauren Tew responds, I can't believe I wasted my time reading this crap. Whale Calls says, all the wallets highlighted were to and from Zappo cold storage wallets. 250,000 Bitcoin was not issued on Liquid. Only 85.5 Bitcoin is on Liquid, and that's by Bitmaster 177. Wolf of Crypto says Liquid sounds interesting and may shake up the sphere. If it does what you're stating, going to check them out now. And Central Banker says, dude, Kraken futures go into maintenance like every other day. I don't think it plays an important role. Yeah, I kind of get the impression that this is just a bunch of stuff kind of strung together. I don't trust Tether. I don't believe that they have the reserves, and I think if there were a massive run on them, several entities would be completely fucked. And I don't really doubt that there's a possibility of that in the future, that somebody could have their ship yanked out from under them, and the whole fucking house of cards can fall. But I got yet another article. And this one's on Bitcoinist.com. Bitcoin cannot be banned, but can it be? And this is by Anatovici? Yes, penis. July 31st, 2019 at 1300 hours. On Tuesday, Senate Banking Committee Chairman Mike Crapo said that the U.S. couldn't technically ban Bitcoin, given that it is a global innovation. However, in theory, there does exist a handful of ways to kill Bitcoin. U.S. politicians agree that Bitcoin is unbreakable. Yesterday, the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs discussed blockchain and cryptocurrency regulation. Chairman Mike Crapo suggested that it would be almost impossible for the U.S. to ban Bitcoin. He stated, quote, if the United States were to decide, and I'm not saying that it should, if the United States were to decide that we don't want cryptocurrency to happen in the U.S. and tried to ban it, I'm pretty confident that we couldn't succeed in doing that because this is a global innovation. Earlier this month, Congressman Patrick McHenry told CNBC that there was no capacity to kill Bitcoin. Indeed, the creators of Bitcoin anticipated the potential interference from governments. The technology underpinning it, blockchain, involves a global network of millions of nodes, which makes the cryptocurrency almost indestructible as soon as the internet lives. As long as the internet lives, should be the responser. When it comes to Facebook's Libra, the U.S. government has much more control and can stop its launch. Actually, they can't, but we won't go there. But even if it goes live, Libra's blockchain will be a permissioned version involving only 100 nodes that represent big corporations. In reality, U.S. could destroy Bitcoin. However, in theory, Bitcoin is not infallible, and some governments have the potential to ban citizens from using it. Countries with a less developed internet infrastructure could simply shut down the web. Last month, Sudan saw an internet blackout that carried on for weeks. The government deliberately cut off the internet to stifle local protests, but it can apply the same tactic to prohibit use of cryptocurrency. Nevertheless, such drastic moves are possible with autocratic governments only. The U.S. would never consider such tactics. Instead, if the U.S. establishment really considered Bitcoin a threat, they would simply buy it. Yes, that's right. Think about it. American economists and cryptography experts always simulate various emerging phenomena to forecast their potential directions and impact. James Rickards explains in his book, quote, The Currency Wars, The Making of the Next Global Crisis, how he took part in currency war simulations in a broader program by the U.S. government to understand the potential impact of various monetary strategies. The U.S. government could buy all available coins. It's hard to believe that the U.S. government and intelligence agencies didn't understand the potential of Bitcoin. The FBI seized the Silk Road as early as 2013, so the government knew about the threat of a decentralized currency. If it really wanted to kill Bitcoin, the government could just buy all the available coins through its agents, as the market cap at that time was only about $1 billion. The U.S. can use the same trick even today, even though the market cap is now more than $175 billion. If you take out the lost coins and those owned by hodlers, government would only need around $100 billion to stop this, quote, threat called Bitcoin. In 2008, the U.S. spent over $700 billion for the bank bailout, while the Fed spent trillions for its quantitative easing programs, QE1, 2, and 3. If you can't beat them, join them. So why is Bitcoin still there? Well, because the U.S. government really doesn't actually mind it. Maybe Bitcoin came from the sincere intention to damage the traditional finance, but in reality it helps the U.S. dollar cope with its inflation in a shift to a new financial system revolving around digital money issued by central banks. The U.S. dollar has the status of the world reserve currency. Up until 1971, the American currency was backed by gold with the price of $35 per troy ounce, as per the Bretton Woods Agreement. It didn't stop the Fed from printing out money out of thin air, though, but the U.S. always knew how to export inflation, mainly through generous grants like the Marshall Plan Initiative. After the Nixon shock in 1971, the U.S. dollar became a free-floating currency as the gold standard was removed. However, the U.S. reached some agreements with Saudi Arabia and other OPEC countries to sell its oil exclusively in U.S. dollars. This helped the American currency secure global demand, which enabled it to continue to print money out of thin air and buy everything cheap or at no cost at all. Those who openly dared to sell their oil for other currencies rather than U.S. dollars ended badly. The point is this: periodically the U.S. needs a new market to export its dollar inflation. In other words, it has to secure U.S. dollar demand to continue printing money without devaluing its currency. The collapse of the USSR, along with different wars here and there, allowed the U.S. to flood virgin markets with its paper money. Bitcoin helps USD demand. Bitcoin is another such market that attracts billions of US dollars. Thus, it helps the US write off part of the inflation. The Fed continues to print money without end. Meanwhile, as crypto analyst Willy Woo figured out, institutional investment negatively impacts Bitcoin price action. The fact that only a few hands control the coin's supply doesn't make Bitcoin a good means of exchange. However, this might be the final phase of the show, as the world is moving towards digital currencies, indeed. On Sunday, Augustin Carstens, head of the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, told Financial Times that central banks would issue digital currencies sooner than we think. The central bank has anticipated this shift long ago. Bitcoin is helping the US dollar endure the transformation smoother and give people the illusion that they can actually outsmart the digital elite, or the global elite. I think you're full of shit there, dude. Let's see if there's comments on this. Oh, there's two. Tachyon Drive-By Shooting says they don't have to buy them all, they just have to be the biggest whale. Why do you think that they keep shaking the tree so hard lately? Yeah. Positron says, wait, I'm confused. If the U.S. government attempted to buy all Bitcoin, wouldn't the price climb astronomically high? Yes, supply and demand. As they reach the halfway point of purchasing all the Bitcoin, wouldn't the price increase make Bitcoin so expensive that they could never complete buying all of them? I think you're absolutely correct, Positron. I think that the U.S. government would have significant difficulty trying to accumulate all of them, because the ones that they take off of the market would make the ones that are coming onto the market worth more. Plain and simple. Supply and demand. Straight up Econ 101. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. I kind of forgot that we actually play that here. As far as where to go. Let's go with a little bit of Exodus here. Fabulous Disaster. Here on Coin Metal. And that was Clutch with the with Escape from the Prison Planet. Sorry about that. As far as where we're going next, we started off by wanting to get into Backed. But it seems like somebody actually beat them to the punch. I caught this one on my Twitter feed from CoinDesk, and this is by Nicholas D., authored till today, July 31st, 2019, at 1300 UTC. So yes, penis. Beating Backed, LedgerX is first to launch, quote, physical Bitcoin futures in U.S. Any U.S. resident with a government-issued ID can now trade futures contracts for real Bitcoin. Revealed exclusively to CoinDesk, LedgerX has officially launched the first physically settled Bitcoin futures contracts in the U.S., beating the Intercontinental Exchange's Backed and TD Ameritrade-backed ErisX to the punch. Perhaps most importantly, LedgerX is offering the new product to both institutional and retail investors, allowing anyone who can pass Know Your Customer processes to trade the contracts. Not just institutional clients with millions in assets. LedgerX CEO Paul Chow told CoinDesk that retail customers can trade the product using his company's new Omni platform, which recently went live. The institutional clients can trade futures as with any of LedgerX's other products. While LedgerX is not the first Bitcoin futures provider in the U.S., it is the first to offer physical futures, meaning customers receive the actual Bitcoin they bet on when the contracts expire rather than the cash equivalent. Moreover, customers don't need to put U.S. dollars in to bet on the product. Chow explained that traders can buy contracts using Bitcoin. Quote, not only are they delivered physically in the sense that our customers can get Bitcoin after the futures expires, but also they can deposit Bitcoin to trade in the first place, he said. Quote, cash settled is cash in and cash out, or Bitcoin in and Bitcoin out. He believes that this is the first time that a regulated company is able to allow customers to deposit Bitcoin as collateral for a contract. Because of this, Customers don't need to wait for bank transfers or on other limitations of the U.S. banking system in order to participate, he said. Quote, if you imagine somebody that deposits Bitcoin, they would not have to use the same U.S. banking system at all. That's why physically settled is very important, he said. I think it's one of the most unique use cases for Bitcoin, where you're using cryptocurrencies as the only collateral. This is possible using the physically settled contract, he said, adding, quote, as a digital commodity, Bitcoin trades 24/7, 365, and our customers expect that from us. So, if you trade Sunday night, the banking system did not have to be open. Opening retail. LedgerX revealed that it was looking to offer Bitcoin futures in April, having filed with the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, for the requisite licenses in November of 2018. The CFTC granted LedgerX a designated contracts market DCM license last month, giving the platform the final approval it needed. The company previously held derivatives clearing organization and swaps execution facility approvals through the CFTC. The company, though formed in 2014, only began offering physically settled Bitcoin derivatives products in 2017. However, its options and swaps products, have initially been geared towards institutional customers. Since then, the company has been working to ensure that anybody could trade its products, Chow said. Quote, we've been involved in this business for the last 6 years, and we have not only been getting institutions on board, but we've spent a lot of time educating regulators on why this is important, he said, adding, quote, cryptocurrencies are for everybody, and we never started this looking to offer just to hedge funds or institutional clients. John Todaro, director of research at TradeBlock, told CoinDesk that physically settled contracts allow traders to more appropriately hedge their bets, which may be beneficial for non-speculative institutions. Quote, additionally, cash-settled futures contracts could potentially be more susceptible to manipulation depending on the formula and underlying spot exchanges or indexes used for settlement and expiry, or at expiry, he said. Normally, cash-settled contracts are also cheaper than physically settled ones, as traditional commodities have delivery costs associated with them. These delivery costs likely disappear with digital assets, however, Todaro added. Quote, given cash contracts are more simple relative to physical contracts would likely be more useful for an institution than retail, he said. Competitive market. Bitcoin futures have drawn attention in the U.S. since at least 2017 when CME and CBOE announced that they were launching cash-settled contracts. While CBO ended support for its product earlier this year, CME continues to enjoy sizable trading volume. TD Ameritrade, a giant online stock brokerage, also offers its clients access to CME futures contracts. However, LedgerX is not necessarily competing with cash contracts, Chow said. For one thing, the two types of contracts are very different. Really, we have a lot of folks who never even touch US dollars, he says. Cash settled is very different from what we do. This applies to Omni as well, he said. The platform, quote, is really going to be a new product for retail that is going to be unique in that it's going to be incredibly simple, he added. It's going to make available to the retail public all sorts of ability to trade Bitcoin, whether it's spot, futures, options,
and we have a lot of other things in the pipeline. Unlike futures, swaps are not based on the asset itself, but rather its performance, while options are a non-binding contract. LedgerX is a good company. A number of companies are planning to offer physically settled Bitcoin futures. LedgerX is in good company. Oh man, fuck that one all up. A number of companies are planning on offering physically settled Bitcoin futures in the U.S. Bakkt, which was set up by the New York Stock Exchange's parent firm, to much acclaim last year, and TD Ameritrade backed ErisX have both announced their intentions to enter the market. Bakkt has self-certified its contracts through the CFTC and is now waiting on a trust charter from the New York Department of Financial Services to set up its warehouse. Once the trust charter is approved, Bakkt will likely be able to launch within a few weeks. The firm conducted user acceptance testing on July 22nd, ensuring that customers, clearing members, and the provider were all able to communicate when trialing the contracts. ErisX, like LedgerX, has received the necessary CFTC approvals, though it has not announced a timeline for launching its futures contracts. The company began offering a cryptocurrency spot trading market in April of 2019. Yeah, so contracts markets. I guess, there's some sort of popularity to them. I've never traded on them and don't really intend to. But yeah, that's one of those institutional tools, trading. But the fact that they're taking, or rather they're paying out in Bitcoin, I find that really interesting. It is kind of a claim to the legitimacy of Bitcoin as a monetary unit, as a means of exchanging monetary value. And so that does kind of fly into the face of this whole store value bullshit, because it is being used to settle cash contracts. Anyway, I got this article here on Cointelegraph. I think we've got just enough time to squeeze this one in. This is by Helen Parts, authored, let's reload this thing, approximately 11 hours ago. UK financial regulator FCA won't regulate Bitcoin and Ether. And so no penis. Britain's financial regulator, the Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, will not regulate Bitcoin as a part of its recent guidance on crypto assets. On July 31st, the FCA issued its finalized policy statement on cryptocurrencies in a document titled PS 19/22 Guidance on Crypto Assets. The document represents an updated version of a consultation paper on crypto assets that was first released for public comment on January 2019 and intends to bring more regulatory clarity to existing types of digital assets. In the document, the FCA considered major cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ether as exchange tokens, describing them as types of crypto assets that are usually decentralized and primarily used as a means of exchange. The regulator emphasized that such digital currencies do not fall under the regulatory scope of the FCA and is outside its remit. Security tokens and e-money are under regulatory perimeter. On the other hand, two other types of digital assets, including security tokens and utility tokens, do fall under the regulatory perimeter or may be regulated in some sense, the FCA wrote. As such, the FCA said it will be regulating security tokens as they are considered as digital assets with specific features that provide rights and obligations akin to specified investments such as shares or debt instruments. Meanwhile, activities involving utility tokens may be regulated if they meet the definition of e-money
in some circumstances, the FCA stated. In the paper, the FCA also noted that some stablecoins may fall under the authority's regulation, still adding that not every stablecoin will meet the definition of e-money or a security token. Earlier this month, Cointelegraph reported that on the FCA preparing a potential ban on the sale of crypto derivatives, such as Bitcoin futures, to retail investors. And yeah, that'd be like kicking themselves in the dick. We just read about all kinds of official, highly licensed, very regulated entities coming into the Bitcoin futures space. So, why would the FCA want to limit them? Why? I don't really see that there's an advantage to be had there. And I think that's the bigger part of this, is how a government treats cryptocurrencies will affect how it advantages them within their borders. And that this is plain and simple, and it's completely agnostic to what government we're talking about. And that's the fabulous thing about it. This isn't restricted just to the United States government to fucking define, or the FCA, or fucking Hong Kong Authority, or some shit like that. It's not for them to determine. It's for you individually to determine. And collectively, as a whole, we as the market determine. But again, the market doesn't limit the participants. Every single individual on planet Earth that has a home that they could be hosting a miner at is a potential participant. And see, to me, this opens up a couple things. It incentivizes things like cheap electricity, because you want your people to be able to participate in a competitive manner. And if they can't afford to keep the lights on and keep that miner running, they're not going to be able to participate. So, you will want to make electricity very, 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 very cheap. If not specifically subsidize people that are willing to get into mining. Because again, this will be a reflection on the rest of the world of a specific continent's willingness to utilize cryptocurrencies as a means of transfer. But again, this is going to be, in my mind anyway, this is going to be the new definition of how business-friendly a country is. And how willing they are to be transitioning into the 21st century. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so until then, I'd like you all to trade safe. Do your homework! And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And so as far as our last dance is concerned, I've been dying to play some fucking Killing Joke all night long. Just haven't done it, haven't gotten to it. And so here it is. If I can find the right song. Where is it? There it is. Loose Cannon, Last Dance, here on Coin Metal. Thank you again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening. Good night.